Not so long ago, one of my friends uploaded a video where he talked about the things he was looking forward to in 2012. And because he can never get me out of his head, he of course has to mention me. Whether that be because of my sheer awesomeness, my awe-inspiring skill on the stick of course being default Xbox 360 controller LS and RS sticks, or even suppressed homoerotic desires that he has in his head, he mentions me. And him being the cave troll that he is, they of course have to be rather unflattering comments. So I'm here now to tell you what I'm actually looking forward to this year. Number one will have to be 2012. 2012 as in 2012, the predictions of it being the end of the world. Now, I'm not suicidal because that's just sick and wrong, but if the whole world were to just die, I would be okay with that. And don't get me wrong, I don't want it to be completely destroyed, as in it being sucked into a gravitational singularity and gets spat out on the other end as cosmic dust, but more along the lines of 90 to 95% of the human population being decimated, for reasons I will go into in a second. There are three particular, for me anyway, desirable doomsday scenarios that I wouldn't mind being in. But before I go into those, I must state there are three causes for the collapse of human civilization that I would not like to occur, only because they could jeopardize my survival. And life during these times would be rather uncomfortable if these were the causes of the collapse of human civilization. Okay, first cause that I would not like to happen is nuclear fallout. For whatever reasons, imagine there's radiation everywhere, and radiation does get everywhere like sand. You know, like the way you'd visit a beach and you'd still have sand in your hair 3 weeks later. But that just might be me because I'm not a big fan of the whole washing craze. So basically you can't escape it unless you have your own underground bunker where you can just hide, or you have a hazmat suit that you can keep on 24/7 somehow. So eventually you basically catch radiation poisoning and die a slow and painful death. And of course, me being the very nice person that I am, I don't wish that on anyone. And especially myself. Number two, complete crop failure. Well, where most of the crops in the world die. For whatever reason, they just die and it affects the food chain and there's hardly anything to eat, and as a result, most life dies. And for a fat guy who needs 5 to 6 heart-crippling feeds a day, this is rather unimaginable. Well, in fact, it's actually very imaginable, because otherwise I won't be getting these nightmares of my mother coming into the house with a bag, and I'm expecting there to be food with a creamy inside, but I open it and I see crops such as leeks and lettuce, because she had to grow them in the garden. Of course, due to the massive crop failure. And then for no reason at all, in will come Ronald McDonald, and I would have to hide behind the door. He'll open the door and point his trident at me, of which time I have woken up by now. And that was number two. And number three, I think, will have to be a virus. A virus that kills 90 to 95% of the population. And I don't really want this one because I'm pretty prone to catching things. So those were just three of the undesirable causes that would just lead to the decimation of 90 to 95% of the human population across the world. There's plenty more, I assure you, but I only have time to describe three. Now here are three desirable doomsday scenarios of which I wouldn't mind being in. Number one, for me to just die. I didn't really want this one before, but not so long ago I thought about it and I actually realized life would be really tough without all this technology that we have. Whether that just be, proper housing or central heating or internet, TV, food at every supermarket. Without all of this, for me anyway, a person who's never experienced life in the great outdoors, it'd be really tough for me. So if I were to just perish in my sleep, or to have that 15-kilometer wide asteroid hit me on impact, so crush me, and I'll technically be the first one to die to it, I probably wouldn't really mind it that much, considering the life I would have to lead afterwards. Scenario 2 will have to be me roaming the desolate wastelands of England, the country of which I dwell in, with a specific person's sister. I'm sure that person knows. And we will have the very unfortunate task of having to repopulate the entire planet. After me and said sister are gone, of course, this will lead to mass inbreeding, of which will probably result in the loss of an entire chromosome in the human genome. However, this scenario, of course, has to lead to just me and said sister being the sole human beings that survived the original disaster, which I doubt will happen, so this scenario is highly unlikely. After this disaster happens, there will be a huge void in power, a void which I will hope to fill with my rule. This type of government that I will put in place will be an imperial one, of course, where I'll bring back feudalism into Europe and hopefully spread it around the world after England and Europe have been conquered by my legions. We move on to the rest of Eurasia, and then we move on to the Americas, and maybe some oceanic countries such as Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. I think that's in the oceanic countries. And that was scenario number 3. Other things I would be looking forward to this year would probably be Borderlands 2 and GTA 5. Yeah, so basically either the world ending or video games. Yes, it's quite the grand life I live. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you guys next time.